Good to go? Mics are on. Yes. Today we are making lemon cardamom cake using preserved Meyer lemons. I'm super excited about this recipe. The first thing we're gonna do is take a little bit of flour and butter, and we're going to thoroughly butter this very complicated bun pan. I don't know where my regular bun pan is. This one is obviously festive and for Christmas / winter. So let's just celebrate that it's March in Alaska and we still have 4 feet of snow on the ground. So here we go. Butter first, and I'll use my little brush. When you're baking in a bundt pan, this is like the world's most complicated bundt pan. There are so many little surface areas that need to be covered. My gosh, I'm regretting this already. The reason why you want to butter and flour is obviously because the way that this cooks in the pan can become problematic when it comes time to turn out your cake. Jeez, I don't know, we'll see. This is my first time using this pan. Bought it from a lady on the internet in a parking lot deal for $10 because I thought it would be really fun to make a chocolate cake in it and dust the mountains with snow. So sweet. So today we're gonna use it to make a lemon cake and do the same thing. But now I think I might have an idea of why she was selling it. Get this thing out of my house, what a pain in the butt. I'm just gonna go around and attempt to coat all of these little surfaces. Jeez. And then we'll flour it just to give it even more of a chance. Each one of those little peaks. If this doesn't work, I'm gonna sell this thing on Facebook Marketplace. And it will forever be passed down from baker to baker as the world's biggest pain in the butt. Not worth it. Get rid of it. Bundt pan. I'm sad I don't know what happened to I had this really cool vintage cast iron bundt pan. It's not here in this house. I don't know where it could possibly be. That's pretty thorough. I'm gonna say a prayer that that's enough butter. This is so cheap, but so great. I use this for dusting my little sourdough proofing containers. It's like a little tea rattle. Check this out. Oh wow, I'm getting it all over the stove. That's exactly what I want to do. So we just generously dust. Pretty good. And then I'm just gonna turn this out over the sink so any excess can go. That's ready in advance. I hear you, kitty. What? Do you want to know what this is? What is that? So weird. I know. Set that aside. We need 3.5 cups, right? 3.25 cups of flour, which equals roughly to 400 grams. And because we're baking, I'm gonna go ahead and use my scale and measure out 400 grams. Because when flour comes packed in a nice little bag like this, it can compact and you'll measure out what you think you need and it'll be too much. So baking is precise. 500 grams, that's too much. That just go to 500, I don't know. You can use all-purpose flour. This is pastry flour, which has a little bit lower protein content of about 8. I think it's 8. Pastry flour is 8 to 10%. Cake flour is 6 to 8%. If you can get your hands on cake flour, it will create the most delicate, least amount of gluten crumb. So this one's right in the middle, pastry flour, not bread flour, not all-purpose. Wow, I'm really making a mess today. So we're gonna start mixing our dry ingredients first. So the cake flour, I have a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, baking powder, and just a 1/4 teaspoon of salt because I'm using preserved lemons that are preserved in sea salt. And I don't want this cake to be overly salty. My zested lemons are gonna go in my sugar and butter mixture. Cake flour, baking powder, baking soda, salt. I think that's it. Excuse me, where's my nice whisk? We'll whisk this all together. The baking powder and baking soda are going to help leaven the cake, which means it's going to help it rise and create all those beautiful little gas bubbles. Give it lift, make it fluffy. Let me make sure I have everything. Because we're using butter in this recipe, some cakes call for butter, some cakes call for olive oil. If you're using olive oil, then you wouldn't cream your butter and your sugar together. The purpose of creaming your butter and sugar is that it creates air pockets and makes it really light and fluffy. So another way to help leaven. Okay, 1 cup of buttermilk, sugar, eggs, vanilla, ground cardamom, cake flour, baking powder, baking soda, salt. Perfect. I'm also going to start my oven. I'm gonna cut this part out because I've got all these baking dishes hiding in here. Don't look over the dining table. Blah. Oh my God. Middle wrap, perfect. Okay, oven preheated 350. And because these are eggs from our chickens, which I recommend doing this anyway, one at a time, choose to use an initial container to make sure your eggs are good, because raw eggs that have not been washed still have a coating on them called the bloom, and it keeps them safe at room temperature. So all of our eggs we keep on the counter at room temp. But occasionally there might be a micro crack, especially in the winter time if an egg got really cold out in the coop, and it could cause the egg to go bad and we wouldn't know it until we crack it open. It's so nasty. Rare, but it does occur. All right, that's all in place. You're done. So we have dry ingredients here. We have our buttermilk here. It's a little bit chunky. I added 2 tablespoons of lemon juice to help it thicken just a little bit. And I actually don't want to keep this here because the oven's heating up and I don't want that butter to melt. Now we're going to cream our butter and sugar, and I need sugar. Okay. How much do we need? How much sugar? 1.25 cups? Let's do 1 cup. Go to the garage. Okay, sorry about that. I'm back. 1 cup organic cane sugar. 2 sticks of butter, unsalted. But you know what? When I bake, I use salted butter all the time. Just make sure not to add too much additional salt. If you only have salted butter, not the end of the world. So I have been really into baking by hand and not using my mixer lately because it's just easier and it feels, you know, a little bit connected. Also, nothing in the kitchen requires an electronic tool. It can all be done by hand. Just getting back to things that feel good. So I'm just gonna whip this butter and sugar together. Maybe I'll trade it out for my whisk. If I were using my mixer, I would probably use a paddle attachment, but that's a good combo. So when you whip this, it's incorporating air and the little sugar granules cutting through that fat in the butter, making it light and fluffy. I don't always bake using sugar. I've been using a lot of monk fruit sweetener lately because I don't want to consume a whole lot of sugar. I also don't eat a lot of sweets, but when you use a substitute like monk fruit, it doesn't cream like a real sugar, but the finished product turns out good. I'm pretty impressed actually. All right, butter and sugar creamed, and then we're going to add our eggs and our vanilla extract and our ground cardamom. So I'm just gonna do 1 egg at a time. And you can really whip this because egg is a natural leavening agent, so it's gonna give some loft to this mixture. We had already added the flour. We wouldn't want to mix it. We're not going to mix it as aggressively as this because it would start to develop gluten and we don't want that. That would make for a really tough cake. Look at how fluffy this is becoming just with that first egg. I know it's like a little bit more work doing this by hand, but it feels good. I know, I'm probably feeling it too, that we're spending a lot of time online. I mean, if you're watching this, you are now. But I want to be in person more often. I want to have more physical experiences in the real world. I want to work at something that feels good. Yes. But I also really love YouTube because I learned so much. So if you're here, I'm so glad you are. And maybe you're learning something new. Maybe you're learning how to bake for the first time ever. And if you are, here's a great rule of thumb. When you are baking anything like cake, cookies, whatever, where you've got dry ingredients and wet ingredients, you always mix your dry ingredients together and then you mix your wet ingredients. But the sugar and the flour will remain separate. So sugar ends up getting incorporated with the wet ingredients because of what I talked about a minute ago, so that you don't start developing gluten when you've got to like really mix this. That's a really wise little rule of thumb. Mix dry with wet, and then you just gently fold it all together to make the finished product. And you provide just enough moisture to the flour so that it's incorporated. That tastes so good. There isn't even any vanilla in it yet. Okay, so options for vanilla. Always try to find pure vanilla extract. You can also make your own vanilla. This is a bottle of vodka, and I have been soaking vanilla beans in it for, I don't know, probably a year and a half. There's also vanilla paste, and that's kind of fun, although I learned that it's not very pure. There's a natural thickener. I guess it's not terrible, except there's cane sugar, water, vanilla extract, vanilla bean seeds, and a natural gum thickener. I don't know. I'm gonna add a little bit because I want that little vanilla bean flavor. And we're gonna add just a splash of homemade also. Okay, and then 1 teaspoon of cardamom, which is quite expensive. I think this was $18. So feel free to omit it if you choose. This is a safe idea. Safety third, that's what we say in this house. Wow, and cardamom is so aromatic. You might not want it to be that forward. Kind of feeling, well, do the full teaspoon. It's a whole cake. Get in there. Why I put that stopper back on, that's silly. Get in there. Okay, good enough. Now I'll trade this guy out for my little paddle. Scraping the sides to make sure you incorporate everything. Just turn this out so you can see. This has become, baking is really a marriage of art and science. All right, that's looking pretty great. Now, because my big bowl is being used to contain potting soil at the moment for starting my seeds, I knew that this bowl was barely going to be big enough. It's probably going to end up really full. That's okay. Now we're going to add, actually, I'm going to add my lemons in this mixture also. My preserved lemons. You can do regular lemons and juice and lemon zest, or you can give preserved lemons a whirl. You can purchase them at the store, but you can also preserve your own. It's so simple. Maybe in the not too distant future, I'll have a recipe for those. Okay, and now my lemon juice. I'm gonna add to my wet ingredients also 1/4 cup. There's a little bit of lemon juice already in the preserved lemons, so I think I'm gonna half that. We'll do 1/8 of a cup. Feels fair. I know there's raw egg in here, but oh my god, that's so good. Wow. I've never made this with preserved lemons. They're just like a whole new level because they're fermented. That is so good. Wait, now back to my point. This is a little chunky, but that's okay. We're gonna add a little bit, maybe half of our buttermilk, and then start adding our wet ingredients. One over mix, a little bit at a time. You know, I probably need an overhead camera, but I haven't figured out how to place one so that it's not in the way. So this is what we're doing for now. Thanks for being here. And this is also an organic unbleached flour, so it's not perfectly white. So this cake is probably gonna look a little bit more on the natural side. You know what? There's nothing wrong with that because we care about our bodies and what we put in them. Already splurging with a little bit of sugar. Fermented food makes up for it, right? I actually don't know if the microbes in a ferment, they probably can't withstand being baked and remain alive. Who knows the answer to that? I don't, but they do provide lots of flavor. Okay, this batter's pretty thick. Let me make sure I got it all. Buttermilk, butter, sugar, eggs, vanilla extract, cardamom, flour, baking powder, baking soda, salt, lemon zest, fresh squeezed Meyer lemon juice. Maybe I'll do just a little bit more juice so that we've got a little higher moisture content. Like, who cares? You can do whatever you want. really lemony. This recipe, when I measured it all out, is actually for a 12 cup bundt pan. And I don't know what that Christmas pan is. It looks quite a bit smaller because of the mountain peaks. The 12 cups, like maybe it's 10 cups. Okay, I just need to make sure there's, this is gonna be lumpy because I have all of that preserved lemon in it. If you were using a mixer, it would end up a lot smoother. We're doing things by hand, baby. That is okay. We'll just give this a go. And if there isn't enough room in here, then I'll pull out one of my bread pans. Yeah, I might actually have to like spoon this into the mountain peaks. It's gonna rise, so we don't want it to be monstrous. I think I am gonna end up with extra batter. This is fun. Okay. This recipe I'm adding to my very first snail mail club. I'm starting a recipe club, and every month I mail you one of my recipes that I have created on a recipe card. So you get a physical recipe card to keep. It's designed beautifully. Oh no, maybe I will have enough. We'll see. It's designed so beautifully by me. Note card, postcard, stickers, little joys that you can receive directly in the mail. And in this one that includes the lemon cake, I also have a seed packet that you can plant. So the Snail Mail Club is called Seed to Table, and it's all about cooking and gardening. So if you're into that, I would love it if you joined my community. Also, there's a letter every month. So I write a letter to you. That is my kind of like my newsletter, what's going on in my life, some musings, some tips on whatever the recipe calls for, and a purpose to just create a better connection. And how sweet is it to receive something in the mail that's tangible? I got really tired of like everything being so digital, and yeah, it's convenient, but when I'm in the kitchen, I want a piece of paper to look at. Or if I'm reading, I really like having a physical book to read with paper pages. I feel like we are really craving that simplicity. So the Seed to Table Club is that type of community where you're receiving tangible goods. Raw egg. Right. You have to make this. Okay, it's not done yet. Once it turns out great, then we'll be like, you gotta make it. Okay, I feel like this is going to be incredible. Now, it's probably gonna puff up a lot because this is almost full, but I don't know, what do you think? I think it's gonna rise like a ton. Dare I keep it like this? I can always cut the bottom off. Let's just go for it and see what happens. It'll be a great experiment. Okay, oven's at 350. This thing also has peaks on it, which means it's gonna sit weird. Man, this lady had lots of reasons to sell this thing. What a pain in the butt. All right, I saw it and I was like, why would you sell something like that? It's so cool. I have a baking stone and I'm gonna move it up onto the rack so that I have something solid to sit this on. Yeah, your problem. Okay, here we go. Middle rack, 40 to 55 minutes, depending on your oven's attitude. And we will see how it turns out. Normal bundt pan, I wouldn't be worried. Okay, I'm gonna clean up and I'll see you guys on the other side. Whoa, that's butter. No, that's butter on my shirt. Dang it. Time to check to see if these babies are done. Guess what? I panicked right after I turned off the camera. And I knew that I overfilled the bundt pan. I was like, what on earth were you thinking? So I immediately took it out. It was like just getting warm. So I think I was able to salvage it. But I took about a third of the batter out and I put it in a little bread pan, which was the right decision. I should have never filled it so full. So we're gonna give that a try. I need a toothpick. I have a chopstick. And, ooh, we still have a ways to go. Oh my gosh, it tastes so good. Probably gonna take it a little bit longer because there are 2 items in there. When a cake is done, a little wooden stick should come out clean. Oh, this one's done. We are going to let it cool. This is what it looks like. That's beautiful. It smells great. Little crispy on the edges because I had removed some of the batter and then that's what was stuck to the side. But that's okay, that doesn't matter. So we'll give that some time. And then you have options. You could serve it without any kind of a glaze. You could simply dust it with a little powdered sugar. If you take a ½ cup of lemon juice with a tablespoon of olive oil and a ½ cup of powdered sugar, you can make a nice little glaze to put over it, and it will be delicious and like really bright and lemony. This is still pretty hot. There's a third option. The third option, okay, there's 4 options. The third and fourth options are this. Instead of powdered sugar, I was just thinking, you could use a granulated sugar, and while it's still hot, it will kind of like it'll melt just slightly and like give it this like crunchy glaze. Hey, if you want it to be smooth, use powdered sugar. Sir, you already ate dinner. Yeah. Or if you don't want sugar but you want the sweet, you can use monk fruit. So I think I'm gonna go for granulated sugar because I know how powdered sugar behaves. And I want just a little bit of like crispy, you know? So I have a ½ cup of that Meyer lemon juice. I'm gonna do, let's see what 6 tablespoons feels like. And a little bit of olive oil. Let's use a baby whisk. But I'm liking what that is doing. I have a little bit of butter left on my brush from when I was working the sides. And I could pour this, but I think instead I'm gonna just drip it on here. Yeah, that feels good. Whenever I'm making a recipe, I have an idea in my head, and then when I actually get into it, new ideas emerge, and I tend to change my plan, and you have full permission to do the same thing. That is true creativity, right? Sometimes you don't know until you're in the middle of something that you might want to make a change. So this is going to become the bottom of the cake because we're going to flip this over and turn it out once it's cool. That's just like soaking in, and it should provide a nice crunchy base once it sets. That's fun. I'm into that. Cool. We got a cat. Yeah, we got a cat in the middle of the floor. We got a dog. We got this dog. Yeah. What do you want? Here's the deal. You already ate dinner. You forgot. You had early dinner. No, you hustled me for it. You said, Mom, give me dinner early. And I said, you're so cute. Okay. I'm not going to give you late dinner. No! Stop hustling me for food. You're plenty. You're loved. You're well loved. I'll bite you. I'll bite you. Oh, you want to get wild? Get wild. I spank you. I spank you. You were bad today? No, you were good. You were always good. I won't really spank you. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Just a good spank, you know. Just a good boy spanking. Let's try this. Oh, let's see if it's done. I am so afraid this is going to stick everywhere, but we'll just give it our best shot. Ooh, I don't really want to bang it on the glass because this is a... Oh my gosh! It's come out! Oh! Okay. That's not bad. It smells so ugly. Wow. That is ugly. It didn't pick up any of these details. Just kind of, oh my gosh. What are you snorting at? Stop that. That is funny. Ryder, stop snorting. All right, well, let's glaze it. That is so funny. No wonder this lady sold me this thing. She was like, forget this bunt pan. Oh, I mean, if you iced it, like actually used like a buttercream frosting, but it's still just like, it doesn't look great. That is so funny. Okay, it's beautiful. I don't know if you're going to probably try and focus on my face, but let's move the camera. I put it near my face. It's beautiful. Delicate crumb. Loves a little bit of soaked in glaze. Oh my God. Whoa. This is so good. I'm glad I did the glaze because it adds a little bit of moisture and just enough of that tart lemony flavor, whereas the cake itself is more subdued. And the pieces of lemon in there, you can still kind of see, but they have nearly completely dissolved. The cardamom is not overwhelming, but it gives like an interesting aroma. Make this cake, but don't use that bundt pan. Bundt pan for sale, $10. Anybody who wants to take it off my hands, you can have it. I'll pay you. Have a great night, everybody. You can have the tiniest piece. You're just a baby, so you're not supposed to have sugar. It's in your hair. Oh, no, it's in your hair. Ah! Okay, it's behind you. Right there. You good? You like it? Here, there's a little crumb. That's all you get.